Welcome to Bleav in 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav in 76ers is presented by betonline.ag.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year. It's football season, and you know what that means? It means it's time to get in on BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. BetOnline. The game starts here. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bleav in 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash, here with legendary 76ers point guard Eric Snow and my brother, Teja Dash. What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, guys?
Can't complain. Obviously, you know, the boys are back. Everyone's taking their photos, media day, special day for a special week for some of the new guys in the squad, and also the fan base. It's at an all-time high right now. Everyone's feeling so good about the squad going into everything. Thought media day was cool. I thought the new photos were great. Eric, when you were, I guess when you first came to Philadelphia and like every team you go to, was media day as big of a spectacle as it was back then that it is now? Like taking the new pictures with your new gear and stuff.
I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, we didn't have the multiple uniform things, so that's all new. You know, that's more modern. You got to think that nowadays they have the social media where they post all of that stuff all over it, and you know we didn't have that, so everything was print. So you had to print pictures and media and be able to talk to everyone. And during our run, it became a little more national. Outside of that, if you didn't really have a run, it's more localized, the local media and state media. But outside of that, very few teams kind of get it nationally, where ESPN and the bigger places kind of showed up. There were times when we were like that. There were times when we weren't.
Right. Yeah.
And as far as a fan, the unveiling of it, I feel, was bigger back then because of the lack of just constant connection and coverage you had with social media nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was different because from the perspective of, and in a lot of ways, that was the only time people heard from the players.
You had that
all summer. You go into camp and you haven't if you didn't see anything because guys didn't post what they were doing, like you didn't know. So you go to camp and now it's sort of like, what are you doing? How's it been? And what's your plans? So it's like the first time people are hearing from people. So it was a bigger deal from that perspective. Whereas nowadays we know where Joel goes, we know where Paul, we know what all these guys are doing.
We know how they're feeling all the time, what they're thinking.
So from that perspective, it was a bigger deal because of it was really the first time for that season that people kind of heard from the players.
Exposure, yeah. Now we're hearing, those guys have shows. We hear how they feel all the time. So it's like,
yeah. So obviously, with it being media day, we're gonna kind of dive into some of the quotes from the guys, from Embiid, Nurse, Daryl Morey. But obviously this week, some somber news. NBA legend Dikembe Mutombo and 76ers legend passed away at the age of 58. That was kind of that was the same day as media day when that happened. So that was kind of on top of everyone's minds on Monday. If you know anything about Dikembe Mutombo, just an overall great guy off the court and on the court. So that was that happened this week. Just wanted to say our prayers and send our love to the family and obviously your friend Eric. And so send our love to you too, brother.
Thank you, man. It's tough. That was tough, man. I was traveling back from seeing my son play, and as soon as I turned my phone on the airplane, I flooded with messages about
I bet
Dikembe. So it's hard, man. Wasn't expected. Was kind of the under the assumption that he was, maybe he was improving. But I can say this: I'm excited and ecstatic that I was able to have him be a part of my life. So that right there means a lot to me. So I pray for Rose and his family because that's tough, man. He's great, man. Great dude, man. Great man. Always a pleasure to be around, and the pleasure not only just to call my teammate, but a pleasure to just call a friend. So the world lost a great man, but his legacy will live on.
All right. So moving on to the media day and the coverage that was kind of happened this week. Obviously, we said everyone's really excited about the season. And we'll begin with our first topic. So Coach Nick Nurse has talked about how complicated it can be to figure out all the different pieces and combinations of players so far. With this new bunch that he has, and I have the clip right here, so we'll talk about it on the other end.
The chemistry, I think, feels pretty good, right? I think it feels pretty good, but it is like I don't want to say. Well, it's probably it's kind of complicated at times, right? Because even when I'm just going over like some late game situations, I'm looking at all the different options. Like, okay, who's taking it out? We don't have Batum as like our automatic guy. Like, what are our choices there? Like, need a shooter flying off here. What are our choices? Well, geez, there's a few. There's all kind. There's this, and we need a speedy guy back here. We need this here. Like, I can move the pieces a lot, and I guess that is. It's not complicated. It's a little time consuming. I think it's a little experimental. Take a little time to figure out exactly. What maybe is the best option, and then the next best, or maybe it's a thing where we can move positions and make it a little harder to scout. Geez, that was a long answer for that, wasn't it?
I always love the basketball practice sound bites because you hear the balls dribbling in the background. That kind of takes up the sound. But obviously, training camp is important for every team. But my question is it even more vital for a brand new roster like the Sixers? Because there's only like a couple guys who are being brought back to this team. It's a pretty much revamped squad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because you work out sort of the kinks. You kind of figure things out. So a lot of the stuff that Nick was talking about, some of that stuff won't be figured out until they start playing games, until they start playing more. So you still have to kind of game plan for it, but the play and the way guys are playing will dictate a lot of that. If you go into it and then all of a sudden there's a guy that keeps turning the ball over when he takes the ball out, maybe that's not the guy that you won't take the ball out. But in the preseason, you had him marked as a guy that could take the ball out. So the guy, maybe he's a guy that's coming off shot, but he aren't making he's coming off screens like he said. But what if he's not making shots? So you may have somebody else may have a high hand that particular game. So it's good to kind of have a game plan, but I think it kind of takes off based on how the team is playing, either in that particular game or during the season. No matter what, we know that based on the last few years that Joel's always going to be an option, and he's always going to be considered a threat from the other team. So the guys that are the best options, coming out of a huddle, if you're the opponent, they're going to always key in on those guys. And then you basically, as far as defend them, you basically go by habits of what guys do well and try to take those things away. Well, offensively, the Sixers, we're trying to put our guys in the best situation to do what they do well.
Mm-hmm.
So how creative are you to be able to do that? Sort of is what it comes down to. And that's what he's talking about, different ways of getting to the point where you want to maximize your talent and put yourselves in a situation to get the bucket or get whatever's necessary to make the possible play.
It's interesting because it's like it is complicated. He said that a lot. But like with NFL, for instance, like I feel like there's a lot more position battles, like guys who can kind of come out of nowhere and just steal a job. I don't think that happens as much in basketball. It doesn't seem like training camp's the place where you can take someone's job as much as you can in other sports. So, like, what are the main? As someone who's been there a lot, what are like the main goals of training camp? Is it like cohesion and just getting to know each other and go over kind of like at least who the starting five like is going to be, and then go from there? But so what?
Well, I mean, more than anything, you try to come into training camp in shape to be able to get into game shape.
There you go, shape.
And you want to be able to get into game shape in the grind for the season. You want to be able to go over your sets and make sure that you have the particular timing that you need. Get the camaraderie that you need, both offensively and defensively, as well as in the locker room off the court. So you guys start spending more time together, getting more comfortable with each other. So things come a little easier on the court as far as your communication, getting your communication down, getting your rotations down, trying different things to see what's going to stick and what's the best fit for you, because you can have all of these plans on what you want to do, and then you can get into camp and it stinks. It's totally awful and it's not working. So you're not going to stick with that. You're going to move on to whatever plan B or plan C is. So it's a way to kind of get a lot of the kinks out rather, and then you kind of dictate what it is you want to do, whether you're able to execute your plan and kind of advance it, or if you need to scrap it and go in a different route. At the same time, you also put guys, and I understand you saying is there usually aren't many starting spots, yes, in play in camp. Every once in a while, you may see one or two spots, and most teams maybe one. But there are a lot of rotation spots that are in play.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of rotation spots. So you'll see a lot of guys that will come in, and you have to you have to put in those different lineups because, as we all know, injuries happen. So if you come and you got to be able to put another guy in, say, for instance, Joel is out. Well, Drummond has to spend some time with that first group. You know what I'm saying? So those are different things that you need to do, and training camp's sort of the time to do it, especially nowadays because they don't practice like they used to during the season. So you have to be able to come in and throw out a lot of different things to be able to incorporate whatever system or whatever style you want to have, because it's training camp and it seems long. The training camp nowadays is very, very limited compared to when I played. Very limited. It's shorter, fewer preseason games, and almost non-existent two-a-days. And we basically did two-a-days for a whole month if we didn't have a game. Even it wasn't always hard both times, but we practiced like when the way we did it was the reason why they put in all the rules on and limiting your two-a-days and all that. In the first, they changed it two-a-days, and one was supposed to be contact, one was supposed to be non-contact. But non-contact doesn't necessarily mean easy.
No, yeah,
So,
like it's boot camp for you guys.
yeah, so it was different. So I would love to have this training camp that they're having right now. Man, I'd be loving.
With you, but at the same time, though, I know a lot of guys, maybe not, they don't talk about this enough because a lot of guys talk about it's softer now, all the injuries and load management, and they blame the mentality. But do you think part of it is just like they're not as prepared and in shape to start the season?
I've read people saying that. Like I don't really have the answer, but I have read that perspective, especially in football.
Oh, definitely in football.
In football, you kind of hear it even more. In basketball, you kind of hear, well, you guys have more off days. It's a longer season to give you more off days. You have fewer back-to-backs. You don't really practice. So why are you sitting out more games? I think the one thing that the NBA has done is they have put in all of these parameters to limit guys from sitting out. So, you kind of, you look at it from a standpoint that, injuries do happen, and legitimate injuries do happen where guys can't help but sit out.
Yeah, or it's bad luck. It happens.
I think it's come to this because of the quote unquote healthy scratches. It's kind of where it has come to.
Yeah. As far as back to your original question, I for all the reasons you said, I don't expect us or most teams to just be really polished out of the game. Like you said, most of that stuff's figured out in season. I'm more just about comfort level with your players, where they like to be, right? Because these guys haven't played together. Most of them haven't played together. So it's like, where do you like to be when I do this? Where do you like to be when I do this? Where are you going to be when this happens? So I think a lot of that's for the initial gelling of these guys and just personalities to get to know each other, because again, it's a new group. And I think we only have Embiid, Maxey, Lowry, KJ, and Council back. It's it across the board. Everyone else is new. Drummond knows folks because he was there semi-recently. But everyone coming in seems to be really good, like team guys, right? Like George is pretty passive, laid-back dude. Reggie Jackson, Yabusele, Caleb Martin, just like hard workers who want to win. And a lot of them chose to come here even though they got less money. So when you're doing that, you have that willingness coming into it about wanting to make it work, right? And a lot of these guys are here for multi-year deals too. So we have this team together for a little while. So I just think gelling and having fun on the court is going to be so important for these guys. And it's lucky we have kind of an easy start of the schedule. So hopefully they get some wins and get that confidence that, okay, this is working, guys. Like, we're good, right?
It's going to be different, and it has to be a pure focus because there's no luxury of having a wait period for this team. They have to be good out the gate, or the birds are coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The higher the expectations, the louder the boo birds are going to be. We don't.
Birds are coming. If not.
Yeah, the louder the sports talk radio narratives are going to be. And then Teja will be counting people's pockets if we start off slow too.
As always.
Yeah, I do like the fact that this team it seems like they're already clicking with each other, like off the court, like going to Top Golf with each other, going to each other's like different youth camps they've had. It seems like a lot of these guys, like, if you didn't know any better, you would think, oh, these guys have been together for like 2 or 3 years. But no, like they haven't even been together for a week yet. So it's cool to see the kind of the collective that everyone is coming together for a common goal, and it seems like that's kind of at the forefront for all these guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the next topic is the kind of the main question throughout media day was talking about Embiid's health and managing it, his injury history. That's what Morey talked about. I mean, that's kind of what we always talk about, right? Every year we're always talking about that. But that was kind of a lot of the main questions that were being asked at media day and beginning of training camp. So I got a soundbite here from Embiid and Daryl Morey talking about managing Joel Embiid's health.
They know that if they have to punch me and slap me or take my stuff away for me not to get on that court, they're gonna have to do it. I might get mad, I might curse people out, but I think it's a relationship. We've been working together for years now. I think now I look at the big picture. And, I've always listened to them, but I think now it's, more of a time to actually listen to them and see, what they have to say.
Joel always gets frustrated. The team takes a big drop off when he's out. I always have to explain to him that's because he's one of the all-time great bigs. So that's a little bit of a part of it. But I think for him, it was like, for him, the drop off was too much and it put a lot of pressure on him. He loves Andre. And he feels like the team with Paul and Tyrese and the rest of it, if he has to be smart about his body as we manage him through, that we can go out there and win games when he's not available.
So obviously a lot to take from both these sound bites here. But maybe two questions I have for you guys is, should Joel Embiid's main goal for the season is to be healthy? And will this be the best non-Joel lineups that we've ever had before?
I think health for him is always a priority, and how to maximize that. I don't have the answers of how to do that, but I do feel that it's a priority based on his history since he came into the league, and based on him being older, and obviously you want to kind of continue to have him play at a high level. So definitely it's a priority. Whatever that plan is, I hope it works. And what was the other question?
Is this the best? Will this probably be the best non-Joel lineups we've seen?
I mean, that's tough. I mean, with Paul right now, I would probably say no, because there was a time when you had Ben Simmons that was considered to be, that was an all NBA guy. And you had JJ, and you had Jimmy. I mean, you had and some days you had Tobias that was your fifth or sixth best player, and that's a really good team. Especially based on his salary, according to Teja.
My boy. I thought you were going to say Teja's boy, Tobias.
Yeah, he is your boy. I mean, the kind of, you always count his money. He must be your boy. So
yeah.
I would lean towards that group right now. This group has a chance to kind of, maybe on paper, but, we'll see. I mean, they definitely are this close, though. I mean, you have, Jimmy, and not Jimmy. You have Paul and
Tyrese.
Yeah, it's close. But I just think with Paul being a little older, maybe not. But if we get the Paul from the past, yeah, it could definitely be that number one team.
It's nice to hear Joel say that, and they've had these kind of conversations with each other. And again, it really helps that it helps when you have that commitment from your team and it's mutual, right? Like they go back so far, and Morey's his guy now, and I think he cares about Philadelphia and the team, and it's mutual. So I think there's conversations you can have that where you couldn't maybe have at one point, or if you did, you kind of tiptoed around asking him to sit out, but we've gone through so much history and a lot of trial and error of saying, okay, fine, play tonight, but you're out tomorrow. And then what happened? Like, there have been games where he should have sat out, didn't, and then got really injured in that game. I'm going back to against Houston many years ago, where he seriously hurt himself. Golden State last year, he probably shouldn't have been in there. He shouldn't have been in that game. I'll just say it. He should not have been playing that game. I know that was a freak thing where Kuminga fell on his leg, but, I mean, it was bound to happen the way he was playing and how hobbled he was playing on it. And I think naturally he's just a competitor who wants to play every night. That's awesome. I love that. But at the same time, like, we just inked you to a new deal. You're not here for like one more year and you're retiring, man. Like we want you here for like the rest of your career. We want to lengthen that career in that window that we keep talking about, right? And you're not playing for just today. You're playing for tomorrow, this season, next 5 years. So he has to know, and I think he does know because he's tried all these things, and he's like, all right, well, I did it my way for a lot of these years, and I never finished fever healthy. So, yeah, do what you got to do to make me sit out. It's like, it's like handing someone your keys when you're about to start drinking. Like you're like, hey, man, don't give this back to me. I don't care what I tell you. Do not give this back to me. That's kind of what he's saying right now, right, which is cool. It's funny, when I was doing the lineup thing, that's exactly the team I thought of. But the decider for me against that Jimmy team was Greg Monroe was our 5 to come in when Joel was not playing. And I remember we were getting obliterated against Toronto when Monroe come in for like 5 minutes and we would get outscored by like 12 to like 15 points. It was brutal. So to have Drummond in there, I think makes up for a little or a lot of maybe some of the other losses we might have in other positions, right? It was a younger Jimmy against an older Paul George. I just think a lot of that makes up for it. And defensively, too, I think we're going to be better than that team was with Joel off the court, because you have so many guys who can guard multiple positions. And Tyrese Maxey could probably take over games, maybe even better than Jimmy could at that point, right? I mean, they're both great. I just think, I see.
All I'm saying is they were the number 1 seed, and Joel wasn't the MVP candidate.
Yeah, that's the season we talked about his stats about they came down a lot that year. I think
that's all I'm saying. It's like, so some guys have to be balling for that to happen.
Yeah. Hey, look, that's most Philly fans' favorite team. So I'm not going to say anything about it. Another key difference, too, is to get that team in season, we had to gut our depth. Take that team and who we had coming off the bench, and our bench now is just amazing compared to that. So that, I know we said lineup without him, but just it's team without him too, right? So even when nights where Joel's out, you do raise a Drummond, and you still got a Lowry, McCain, Jackson, Gordon, Yabusele coming off the bench. So yeah. I think overall the team, I'd rather have this one for the balance and for but yeah, they got to prove it definitely.
Yeah, I was looking at the I think the year we were the ones was the 2021 season, which was the year we played the Wizards and when Embiid got hurt in that first round of that series.
Okay.
And just looking at the one game where we closed out the series without Embiid, we had Dwight Howard, who came off the bench as our 5. Our starting 5 that game was Curry, Simmons, Matisse, Danny Green, and Tobias, and Dwight Howard's our center off the bench that game. So I think they must have had Simmons playing center. I guess it's a weird line.
Triple-double that game.
Yeah, Simmons. Yeah, 19, 10, and 11.
Yeah, triple-double. He beat him. You got him good that game. He was amazing that game.
Your boy Tobias, 28, 9, and 6 that game.
There he is.
Oh, man.
That's the guy we did that to. See, right there, that after that game, they were like, yeah, there you go. See?
Yeah. Seth Curry, 30 points that game. Only 2 assists, no rebounds. Solid.
Yeah, I mean,
like 8 threes probably.
Yeah.
All right. So our final topic is so we're getting closer to the season, so now everyone's talking about starting 5s, who's the king of the East and whatnot. So Paul George was on NBA TV, I believe, during Media Day, and he talked about kind of the hierarchy in the Eastern Conference.
What's your view on where the Sixers fit in this landscape?
I think we're top 3 for sure in the East. Got to be, respectful to Boston, be respectful to New York. They put a heck of a unit out together. Boston is Boston. They're champions, brought their whole team back, so they're going to be tough. But I think we fit right into that mix. I still don't think there's anyone that can guard Joel Embiid. So that's like a trump card that we have for sure. But I think, through and through, our roster is pretty set to play around Joel and play off Joel and be, a compliment to his game. So I like our chances. And, but the East is stacked. You still got to look at Milwaukee. Indiana's up and coming. Miami's always in the mix. There's still a lot of East teams that would give you some run.
Really great answer. Really good breakdown from George.
Oh, hey, man, he's on his podcast. He's an analyst.
He's following.
And he was the NBA ESPN analyst during the playoffs.
Someone who's talked about this on multiple shows and his own show. You could just tell, right?
And they say he studies Stephen A. Smith, and I forgot who else, but he studies a lot of different analysts because when he retires, he wants to be an analyst, and he'll be pretty good at it. So obviously, I'm curious to hear how everyone kind of agrees with PG. So since the rosters are all but complete until the start of the season, how would you guys rank the top 4 in the East as of right now? Also, you can't forget the cat news too. That just happened. So,
yeah.
Boston has to be number 1. They just won the championship. I think based on your preference, 3, and 4 um, is the Knicks, Sixers, and Bucks. You kind of depending on the day in your order. Um, if you're going by history, as far as what the guys collectively have done, you probably say um, the Sixers or the Knicks. Um, but if you base it on last season, you can easily say the Knicks is probably 2. You know what I'm saying? With the moves that they made, most people feel that they're better than they were last season. So I think those 4 teams are going to push for that number 1 seed. I think Boston's really going to be pushed, unlike last season. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. I think the parity's there, and it'll always be a team that's outside of those 4 that's hanging around. Miami could be that team. Cleveland could be that team. It's always somebody else that's kind of late in the season, they're the number 3 seed or 4 seed or right behind the 4 seed. So it's going to be interesting. You got to win your home games and win the games you're supposed to win.
And if you're going by team success, when you mentioned team success, you can make a case for Bucks being number 2 because they actually won in the last few years, right? So you have like individual players, Philly, last season, Knicks, team success, Bucks. So you can make a case for all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I love George's answer. I like that he didn't take those teams lightly, right? I think.
Yeah, but he did say top 3. So who is he not including?
Sound like the Bucks actually. Sound like the Bucks he came back because you said you can't forget the Bucks after he already said, "I don't want to be disrespectful to New York or Boston." So it sounds like he already gave Bucks.
Well, yeah, of course, because you're saying the 2 teams that put you out and team that you can't seem to beat.
Yeah.
So,
obviously Celtics number 1, 2 through 4 is very interesting. I'm going us at 2 because I think the Knicks have more core turnover than we do, and they have to, I think, figure more out because George has been the number 2 for the last 4 or 5 years. But you got Bridges, who is their number 1 in Brooklyn, and Cat, who has spent.
I don't agree with that because Bridges, the majority of his career, he's been a 3 or 4.
Before Brooklyn, sure, yeah, he was. But
they didn't really use him like a 1 per se. I mean, he was just kind of put into that, but they didn't really showcase him like the traditional ones in the league. Like he didn't get the load that Brunson got from the Knicks.
No, he did. He had a higher usage.
Yeah,
because
so I'm just saying, like, I think from his perspective, he is easier for him to fit a role than it is for Paul.
I think he's more comfortable with this kind of role.
No, I'm saying for him to fit into a role than Paul and be more effective.
Than Paul, you're saying
Paul George.
Yeah.
Yes, because we're saying Paul has been 2, but he hasn't been 3. Bridges has been 3 or 4.
Yes,
maybe 5 when he's in Phoenix.
And Cat has been a 2, but he's been a 1 for the majority of his career, though.
He's been a 2 with the most success.
Yes, that's true. That's why I think 2 is so close between us and Knicks. I think our most important pieces from last year remain, though, whereas the Knicks really just like flipped it all, and they lost some of their depth while doing it. We actually flipped and gained more depth than we had last year, which is crazy.
But you're assuming that they're going to play that use their depth. They never do.
I mean, In the season, we might have to just because.
No, I'm saying the Knicks. I'm saying you're assuming that they're going to use their depth. They don't use it.
Well, I mean,
they're
definitely their starters because Randall was out.
No, but they still have the guys that came off the bench that played well when they finally started to play them.
Well,
so I just think it's Boston. I think teams are real close. I think teams have gotten closer to Boston. It's just the way that Boston dominated last year and won the championship. You can't put them anywhere but one. But I do think that the teams have gotten closer to them. I just don't think right now. I know sitting here today, it's hard to pick 2 through 4, and maybe even harder to pick 5 through 8. So I'm gonna just kind of let it simmer right now and kind of spend some more time and see how training camp kind of turns out. And because there's a lot of questions that still have to be answered. I mean, the Bucks, like I said,
I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks were 2.
That's what I'm saying. That they had a considered quote unquote down year from losing in the first round, but Giannis didn't really play. But when he was in there, if he's in there, just like we hope Joel's healthy, they hope he's healthy. When Joel's healthy, we're different. When he's healthy, they're different.
Yes.
So, I just firmly feel like any of these teams can pass Boston. I think that any of these teams can end up 4th or 5th.
The one thing, if I was a Bucks fan, I'd be worried about is just the continued health issues of Middleton, because that's someone who needs to be close to what he was for them to be up there again. And they'll still be top 4, I think, whether he's banged up or not. Yeah. That's how good Lillard and Giannis are. But for Middleton, needs to be somewhat healthy this year, pretty healthy for them to.
I think Trent's a really interesting signing for them.
Good signing.
And then Dame has to be better. If he's better,
yeah.
That's you can't never count them out.
What do you make of the Cat signing, Eric? Because I know Paul George mentioned in that quote, I still don't think there's anyone that can guard Joel. That's one thing a lot of Sixer fans are saying is, who's going to guard Joel? Cat's going to guard him. What do you make of Cat and just their lineup in general?
I mean, who guarded Joel last year?
Was it Hartenstein?
It was a combination of Hartenstein, Achua, and even Anunoby.
Yeah, so only Hartenstein's the only one that's not there, correct? Where did he go?
OKC.
So he's the only one that's not there, correct?
Yeah.
Did they re-sign Achua?
I don't think so.
I think Achua's back.
Is he?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I believe he's there.
Just. I mean, he's still listed as their.
Yeah, he's still there. I'm about 90% sure he's still there. Yeah.
They re-signed him. Yeah.
They re-signed him late, though. It wasn't like during the free agency flurry. It was like later in the summer.
They re-signed him July. Yeah, I think July.
Yeah.
Late July.
Yeah, I was going to say it was later than the initial first day. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they still got guys and the guy that didn't play is still there. The one that came in and back up.
Mitchell.
Robinson, right?
Yeah.
That was the original starter before before Hardenstein.
Yeah, who could do a decent job on Joel.
Yeah. So I mean, my concern would be more of how we gonna match up with Cat if he's at the 5 in that pick and roll, where we already struggled to guard Brunson in the pick and roll. Now when you put Cat in that pick and roll, like, we're not gonna switch. So what are we gonna do? How are we gonna defend that?
Yeah.
So just like we got issues, I mean, just like we can cause issues, I mean, they can cause some too. So that's why I say it's up in the air. It's matchups. You're gonna see how teams play against each other, trying to figure it out, and it's all about the matchups. And if you can't figure it out, that team's gonna have your number, and hopefully you won't have to see them in the playoffs. Because as of right now, Knicks put us out, so they're very confident against us out the gate. No matter what move we made, they're very confident against us.
That's true.
Yeah.
And in their eyes, they got better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple victories in Philadelphia too with that group too. So they definitely got their confidence. All right, guys. Well, we hope everybody enjoyed the episode. We will see you guys next week as we get closer, another week closer to the real deal Holyfield. All right, guys. Well, I hope everybody enjoys the weekend. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, guys.
All right,
Take it easy, fellas.
Later.